Every Friday night, we had the same routine, same group, same time, a video call with my closest friends. It started during lockdown, but even when things went back to normal, we never stopped. We lived in different cities now, different lives, but Friday nights were ours. Lena, Mark, just and me. We laughed. We played online games. Sometimes we just talked about life. It was the one time in the week I felt like everything made sense again. Like nothing had changed. Until that night. That one Friday. The last normal Friday. I remember it clearly. I made coffee before the call, sat at my desk, logged into the link we always used. But this time, the link was different. Mark had sent it earlier in the day. Said the old one wasn't working. No big deal. At least, that's what I thought. I clicked it, joined the room. I was the first one there. The screen was dark, but something about it felt wrong. Too quiet, even for a waiting room. Then, one by one, the others popped in. Lena waved. Jess smiled. Mark looked tired, but no one said anything at first. We all just stared at our screens, like we were waiting for someone else to speak. Then Jess broke the silence. Hey, is this the right call? Something feels weird. Lena nodded slowly. I was going to say the same thing. Mark just sat there, eyes a little off camera, like something was behind his screen. I joked, trying to lighten the mood. Maybe we're just tired. Long week, right? But the tension didn't go away. Mark hadn't blinked once, and the lights behind him flickered. That was the first moment I felt it, a small chill crawling down my neck. Like something wasn't right. Not just with the call, but with us. And so, none of us knew that this would be our last video call together. I wish I'd left right then. I wish I'd never clicked that new link. But I did. And it changed everything. The clock on my screen said 9:03 p.m. Only a few minutes into the call. But something already felt off. Mark still hadn't said a word. Just sat there, staring. Not at us, but somewhere behind his camera. Lena leaned closer to her webcam. Mark? You okay? Nothing. He didn't move. Didn't blink. Then his camera glitched. Just for a second. The image stuttered, went pixelated, like a bad connection. But when it cleared, I swear there was something behind him. Not a person exactly. Not solid. More like a shadow. Felt still, but gone the moment you looked straight at it. Jess spoke up next. I thought I saw someone behind Mark. Did anyone else? I saw it, I said. Without thinking. Without doubting. That's when Mark finally blinked. Slow. Almost like he was waking up from something. His voice came through the mic. Quiet, like a whisper too close to your ear. You guys need to go. Then he froze again. This time for good. The video feed didn't cut out. It just stopped. Mark, stuck mid-sentence. Eyes wide. Mouth half open. Like the moment had been paused. Like someone hit a button, but it wasn't him. Lena started to panic. Mark? Say something. What's going on? No response. Jess left the call for a moment. Tried to message him. Nothing went through. I sat there, watching Mark's frozen face on screen. Heart pounding. Then, without warning, the chat lit up. One new message. But it wasn't from Mark. He can't talk anymore. No name. Just the text. No one else typed it. Not me. Not Lena. We stared at it. That one line. Cold. Final. He can't talk anymore. And in that moment, we all knew. This wasn't a glitch. This wasn't a prank. Something else was in the call with us. Something that shouldn't be. And it had already taken Mark. We all sat frozen, staring at that one message. He can't talk anymore. No name. No profile picture. Just the words. Lena's voice cracked through the silence. Is this some kind of joke? Because if it is, it's not funny. I knew it wasn't a joke. I could feel it in my chest. That tight, heavy feeling, like the room was shrinking around me. Jess left the call again to try calling Mark's phone. She came back after less than a minute. No answer. It rings once, then cuts out. Mark's camera was still frozen. His face stuck in that strange, wide-eyed stare. But then, something moved. Not him. His background. Behind him, just for a second, the hallway light flicked on. It wasn't on before. We all saw it. I leaned into the screen. Did someone just walk past him? Lena shook her head. No one's supposed to be at his place tonight. He told me earlier he was home alone. And then came the second message. Same gray text. Same nameless sender. You should have stayed off the call. My breath caught in my throat. I looked down at the chat window, hoping maybe this was just a hack. Someone messing with us. But I checked the participant list. It only showed 4 people. Lena. No fifth name. No sign anyone else was there. Except we all knew someone was. Typing. Watching. Jess whispered, I don't like this. I think we should end the call. We didn't. Not yet. None of us could bring ourselves to click leave. Like the moment we did, something worse would happen. That's when Lena's screen flickered. For less than a second, her face turned to static, then came back. But her expression was different now. Like, I called her name. Lena. She didn't answer. Her head slowly turned, as if looking at something behind her. Off screen, I felt my hands go cold. Because I knew, the thing that was with Mark, it wasn't just in his room anymore. It was moving, and we were next. You said, Lena's screen froze. Just like Mark's. One frame, her head turned slightly, eyes looking at something we couldn't see. And then nothing. No movement. No sound. Just gasped. Oh my God, is this really happening? I tried to speak, but my mouth was dry. I felt like I was choking on silence. We still didn't hang up. Why didn't we? Maybe we were scared. Maybe we hoped if we stayed together, we'd be safe. But deep down, I think we knew. This call wasn't something we could escape from. Jess reached for her phone again. I'm calling the police. I don't care if it sounds crazy. While she dialed, I stared at Lena's frozen image. Something was different. Her camera was too still. Not the usual webcam freeze. It was like a screenshot. Too perfect. Too clean. Then the third message appeared in the chat. They won't answer. I looked over at Jess. She had the phone to her ear. And then she pulled it away slowly. No sound, she whispered. It just rings. Forever. And then her screen began to flicker. No, no, she whispered. Not me too. I panicked. Just turn off your laptop. Shut it. Now. But she didn't move fast enough. The screen glitched. And behind her, in the dark hallway of her apartment, a shape appeared. So black as ink. No face. No features. But it was there. I shouted her name. Jess, get out. She stood up suddenly. The laptop shook. We saw the ceiling. Then nothing. Her screen went black. Now it was just me. Alone in the call. 3 black squares. 3 names. No movement. No sound. Only the glow of my screen in a dark room. And then the final message came. You're the last one. I couldn't move. Couldn't breathe. Somewhere behind me, in the silence of my apartment, I thought I heard a click. Like a door unlocking. I didn't want to turn around. But I knew. Whatever was in this call, it wasn't finished with me yet. I didn't move. I couldn't. That quiet click behind me felt louder than thunder. My screen glowed in front of me, but my eyes were fixed on the corner of my room, right where the sound came from. My front door. It was locked. I always made sure. But locks didn't seem to matter anymore. On the screen, the call was still active. Just me now. Everyone else gone. Their screens weren't blank. They were frozen. Lena's head turned. Mark's wide stare. Jess's last moment of panic. All of it felt like a warning. I moved slowly, stood up from my chair without turning my back to the room. Every step felt like walking through water. Heavy, slow. I grabbed my phone and dialed emergency services. Still no sound. Still ringing. Like the number wasn't real. I backed into the kitchen, phone shaking in my hand, my laptop still open behind me. That's when I heard it. My name. A whisper. Not through the laptop. Not from my phone. From inside the room. So, like wind scraping across a stone. Why are you still here? I couldn't see anything, but I could feel it. That pressure. Like something watching me. Something standing just out of sight. I wanted to run. To scream. But then, the laptop made a noise. Ping. A new message. In the chat. I ran back and looked. One line. One sentence. You were never supposed to see this. And then slowly, the screens began to fade. Not blink. Not cut out. Fade. Like they were being erased. Wiped away. I watched as each name disappeared until it was just a black screen. No call. No windows. No names. Just me. And the reflection of my own face in the laptop screen. Except my reflection didn't match. It was still staring. Not blinking. Not moving. And it wasn't me anymore. I jumped back from the laptop. The screen had gone dark, but the reflection stayed. It didn't move when I moved. Didn't blink when I blinked. It was still. Unreal. Wrong. It stared at me like I was the ghost. Like I wasn't supposed to be here. I slammed the laptop shut. The sound echoed through the room like a gunshot. For a second, I thought maybe I'd broken whatever this was. Maybe that ended it. But then I heard my phone vibrate. Twice. Then nonstop. I looked down. Notifications. One after the other. Messages from Lena. Their names flashing like they were alive. But they were gone. All the messages said the same thing. You're still connected. I dropped the phone. Let it buzz itself into silence on the floor. I didn't know what to do. Everything felt unreal, but my fear was very real. I tried turning on the lights. They flickered, then went out. The whole apartment dimmed, like something was pulling power away, pulling me in. I remembered something from earlier, that first weird feeling, when I joined the call. That quiet, that heaviness. It wasn't just the call. It was the link. The new link. Mark had sent it. But what if it wasn't really him? What if the call wasn't just a meeting? What if it was a trap? A door? And now, I had stepped through. I tried opening my front door. It wouldn't budge. Not locked. Just sealed. Like I wasn't allowed to leave. And that's when I heard it again. Footsteps. Slow. Getting closer. Not from outside. Not from upstairs. From inside the walls. From behind the screen. And then I realized, maybe I hadn't closed the call. Maybe it had just gone quiet. Maybe someone was still watching me. I stood completely still. The footsteps stopped. But the silence that followed felt louder than any sound. I didn't know what to do. Smash the laptop? I picked it up again, hands shaking. Opened it slowly. The screen lit up. But empty. But then, a small white box appeared in the center. Just one question. Do you want to leave the call? 2 buttons. My heart jumped. This was it. A way out. But I didn't trust it. Why would it ask me now? Why now, after everything? I hovered over yes. But didn't click. Something felt wrong. like it wasn't really asking me to leave, but daring me to say yes. Behind me, the footsteps started again. Faster. I clicked yes. The screen went white. I thought it worked, until I saw what was loading. A new video feed. My apartment. From above. Like a camera in the corner of the ceiling. I looked up, but there was nothing there. No lens. No light. Still, I was on screen. And behind me, in the video, something moved. A figure. But no face. Just a shape. Standing in the hallway. I spun around in real life. Nothing. Looked back at the screen. The figure was closer. Closer than it should have been. Right behind my chair. I didn't dare sit down again. Another message appeared on the laptop. You're still part of the call. The camera feed zoomed in. Closer. Closer. Right to the back of my head. Then the screen flickered, and I saw myself turn around on screen. Even though I hadn't moved, I wasn't watching the camera anymore. I was watching something else. A version of me that wasn't me at all. It stared into the camera and whispered, "You're already gone." I slammed the laptop shut again. I couldn't breathe. That smile, my smile, but it wasn't mine. It felt like watching something where my skin, pretending to be me. The room was ice cold now. My breath fogged in front of me, and I could still feel its presence. Close, so close. I backed into the corner of the room, trying to keep every wall in sight. No blind spots. No open doors. But then, I realized something even worse. The laptop was shut, unplugged. But I could still hear the call. The faint sound of static. A low hum, coming from nowhere, and everywhere. I covered my ears. Didn't help. It was inside my head now. Like the call had moved into me. I grabbed the phone again. No signal. No Wi-Fi. The date had changed. Not just the day, the year. My phone said it was 2029. 4 years in the future. I dropped it. What was happening to time? To me? Then the sound changed. Not static anymore. Voices. Lena. They were whispering my name. Over and over. Calling me back to the call. I stared at the laptop. It pulsed. Like it was alive. I knew I shouldn't open it. I knew. But the whispering grew louder. Almost like they were in pain. Like they were trapped. And needed me. I stepped forward. One step. Then another. And opened the screen. The video call was back. All 3 of them were there. But they looked wrong. Like old photos that had been burned at the edges. Flickering. Mouths moving but no sound. Then one by one, they pointed. At the screen. At me. And the text returned. There's only one way out now. I typed back with trembling hands. What way? No reply. Then the laptop camera turned on. By itself. And I saw myself again. But this time, my reflection was crying. And I wasn't. I stared at the screen. But not me. Tears rolled down the face on the screen. But I hadn't moved. My eyes were dry. My hands frozen. The reflection sobbed silently, mouth opening like it wanted to scream, but couldn't. I whispered, "What are you?" The reflection stopped crying. It looked straight at me and smiled. That smile. Not mine. Not human. Slow. Stretching too far. Too wide. Like it didn't understand what a smile was supposed to be. Then the screen glitched. My reflection started flickering. And enough. Replaced with flashes. A hallway. A staircase. An old, dusty room. A shattered mirror. And then, a date. May 26, 2019. 5 years ago. The screen held on it for a second longer. Then the message appeared. This is when you died. I stopped breathing. What? No, I said out loud. I'm alive. I'm right here. I opened my phone again, scrolled through my photos, my texts. Nothing past last week. No recent calls. No emails. My inbox was blank, like I hadn't existed beyond that night. My throat tightened. Was this all a dream? A breakdown? I ran to the mirror, looked at myself. I looked the same, but then from behind me, on the glass, a shape moved, shadowy, standing directly behind me. I spun around. Nothing. Looked back at the mirror. Gone. Then the laptop pinged. A new message. You were the one watching, but now it's watching you. And with that, the lights flickered. Twice. Then the room went completely dark. I couldn't see anything. Just darkness. The kind that presses in on your skin, heavy, full and alive. I didn't move. Didn't speak. Didn't even breathe too loud. Because I felt it. Something else in the room. Not behind me this time. In front. Waiting. The laptop screen flickered back to life, casting a cold, bluish glow. It wasn't showing the call anymore. It was showing me, from the laptop's own camera. I watched myself, sitting there in the dark. But something wasn't right. My face on screen wasn't still. It was turning, slowly, to look at something just off screen. I didn't move, but the me in the video did. It kept turning, kept staring, until it was looking directly behind me. I spun around. Nothing, but the reflection on the screen still stared, still locked on something that I couldn't see. Then the screen split. 4 boxes. Like the video call was starting again. But it wasn't Lena, wasn't Jess, wasn't Mark. It was versions of me, each one in a different place. A bedroom, a forest, a bathroom, an empty hallway. But every version had the same expression. Hollow, afraid, like they'd all been watching something too, and it had found them. One by one, the screens went black, until only the hallway version of me was left. Then a shape appeared behind it. The same shape, that figure, and I could hear breathing again. Not mine. Raspy, close. I shut the laptop. It didn't help, because now the breathing was no longer in the screen. It was in the room, louder, closer, and then, the voice. You should have never answered the call. My heart stopped, because it wasn't coming from the laptop. It came from right beside me, just a whisper in my ear. Final. I didn't scream. I couldn't. My body locked up, frozen by the voice. So close, so quiet, like it had been leaning in this whole time. I turned my head slowly. Nothing there, but I could feel the air, heavy, colder than before. Something had spoken to me, and I knew, without question, it hadn't been human. I backed toward the window. Outside, the street was empty. Too empty. No cars. No people. No wind. It was like the world had paused, holding its breath, and I was the only one still moving. I thought maybe if I left the apartment, ran into the night, I could escape whatever this was. But then, my phone buzzed. One single vibration. One new notification. A calendar reminder. Friday. Group call. 11 p.m. That was tonight. But I hadn't set that. And the invite had no sender. I opened it, and inside was just a location. No map. No address. Just one word. Home. I stared at it, shaking. What did that mean? Was this my home? Or was this its home now? I ran to the door again. This time it opened. But what was outside wasn't my hallway. It was the hallway from the laptop. The one the other version of me was standing in. Dim light. Flickering bulb. Peeling wallpaper. I stepped back in. Closed the door. My apartment was no longer my apartment. Everything inside had changed. Furniture gone. Walls darker. Pictures I didn't recognize. I was inside the video feed now. And the worst part? The laptop was still on the table. Still open. Still showing me, but not me. The version in the call stood up slowly, lifted its hand, and waved. Not to the camera. To me. I didn't wave back. I couldn't. I just stood there, frozen, watching myself, or whatever that thing was, smile at me from the screen. It didn't blink, didn't breathe. It just stared, like it was waiting for me to catch up. The air in the room felt heavier now, like I was underwater. Every sound was distant, muted, except for one, that humming, low, constant, like static mixed with something to life. It was coming from the laptop again, buzzing louder, growing into a voice I could almost understand. Then the screen flickered again. My copy leaned in close. Its face now filled the frame, and it whispered, "You're not the original." I took a step back, heart slamming against my ribs. "No," I said, "that's not true." But part of me, deep down, wasn't sure anymore. What if I was the copy? What if the real me had already been taken? I turned away from the laptop. I needed to get out. Somehow. Anywhere but here. I opened the door again and found myself staring into a different room. A childhood bedroom. The posters. The torches. Even the scratch on the wall by the closet door. I hadn't seen that room in over a decade. I stepped in slowly. Everything was still. Too still. Then I saw it. A tablet on the desk, glowing. A paused video. I tapped it. It started to play. A younger me, maybe 10 or 11, sitting in front of a webcam, talking, laughing. But then the video glitched. The face changed. Eyes turned black. Smile stretched. And the screen went dark. One final line of text appeared. "This was your first call." And then, every screen in the room lit up. TV, tablet, phone, laptop, all of them showing me. Different versions. Different places. All staring at me in silence. And one by one, they all began to speak in perfect sync. "You answered. Now you belong here." I stumbled back, hands over my ears. But their voices didn't stop. They weren't coming from the screens anymore. They were inside me, inside my head. Every version of me, speaking the same words, over and over. "You belong here. You belong here. You belong here." I grabbed the tablet and threw it against the wall. It shattered, went dark, but the others stayed on. No cracks, no damage, just my face, repeating, smiling, like I was the guest, and they were the hosts. I ran out of the bedroom, back into the hallway, but now it had changed. Longer, darker, no doors, just one path forward. I walked. I didn't want to, but I couldn't stop. Something was pulling me forward, like a string tied around my chest. At the end of the hallway, a mirror waited, till cracked down the middle. And in the mirror, I saw none of the other versions. Just me, alone. But the hallway behind me, in the reflection, it was full. Dozens of figures, all still, all silent, all versions of me. I turned around, nothing there. Looked back in the mirror, they were closer. I reached out to touch the glass. It rippled under my fingers, like water, and suddenly, a hand reached out from the other side. It wasn't mine. Not exactly. It looked like me, but pale. Wrong. It grabbed my wrist. Tight. Cold. Pulling. I screamed. Fought back. Pulled away. And the mirror shattered. Glass flew everywhere. The figures vanished. Silence again. Except the voice. Just one this time. So, almost sad. "You weren't supposed to see this." I spun around. There, standing at the end of the hallway, was the shadow. Not moving. Not chasing. just waiting, watching, and in its hand, it held a phone. My phone. A call was still going. 57 minutes and 43 seconds. Almost an hour. An hour since I picked up. An hour since everything changed. And the name on the call said, unknown, group chat, one viewer. Just one. I stared at the phone in its hand. The call timer kept going. 58 minutes. 59. Almost an hour since I answered. And that name, group chat, one viewer. It wasn't me watching them. It was them watching me. I wasn't part of the group anymore. I was the show. The shadow figure didn't move. Just stood there, holding the phone like an invitation. Or a warning. I took a step forward. Then another. My breath was shallow. My heart trying to beat out of my chest. I had to know what this thing wanted. What I was now. The hallway around me began to flicker. Like bad reception. Walls stretching, bending, then snapping back. I was losing my grip on what was real. When I reached the shadow, it finally raised the phone toward me. I looked at the screen. The call was no longer showing me. It was showing someone else. A room. A single person sitting at a desk. Watching. Frozen. Eyes wide. Afraid. It took me a second to realize. They were watching this. My call. This wasn't about me at all. It never was. I looked closer at the screen and saw them staring back at me, confused, terrified. They could see me, and I whispered, "Can you hear me?" The screen flickered. Then a text appeared across it. Yes. And below it, another message. I thought I was just watching a story. I swallowed hard. "No," I whispered. "You were part of it." The shadow began to fade beside me, like smoke in the wind. And with it, so did the hallway, the lights, the air, everything, until I was standing in nothing. Just the phone in my hand now, still on the call, and the screen showing that one final viewer, still watching, still thinking they're safe. And that's when I realized it was never about me joining the call. It was about passing it on. The screen stayed on. Just one face now. Watching. Still afraid. They didn't blink. Didn't speak. They just stared at me like I was some ghost story come to life. And maybe I was. The air around me felt lighter now, but not safer. It was like the silence before a storm. The phone buzzed again. A new message. What do I do now? I stared at those words for a long time. What could they do? I wanted to warn them, tell them to hang up, shut their screen, walk away. But I knew it was already too late. Once you answer the call, once you see it, you're part of it. You are it. I typed back with shaking fingers. Don't answer again. No matter what. Don't look back. The viewer on the screen nodded, or maybe trembled. It was hard to tell. Everything went dark. The phone powered off. No battery warning. No shutdown screen. Just off. And I was left standing in the dark. Alone. But not really. Because somewhere out there, someone else had just watched my story. And the call? It was still moving. Still spreading. Like a virus. Like a curse. Like a camera left on in a locked room. I looked up and whispered the last words I ever remember saying. Tag, you're it? You said, so if you're still here, still watching, still listening, maybe you're wondering if this was all just a story. A creepy video to pass the time. A bit of Friday night fun. But let me ask you this. Did your lights flicker while you watched? Did you hear anything? A whisper? A knock? Your name in the silence? Have you checked your phone recently? Go ahead. Take a look. Is there a missed call? A strange group chat? A notification you don't remember tapping? Because here's the truth. This story isn't just about what happened to me. It's about what comes next. The call doesn't stop when the screen fades to black. It moves to the next device. the next curious viewer. Maybe you thought you were safe, just watching, just an audience. But that's what I thought too. And now look at me. So if your phone rings tonight, and the caller says, unknown, with no voice on the other end, don't answer, don't speak. And whatever you do, don't look at the screen. Because once you see it, it sees you. And the call never truly ends. It just waits for the next one, for you.